You know, James, I was thinking about Doctor Doom recently.
Really? Why is that?
You know, who they should cast for Doctor Doom. And I feel like it should be someone really daunting, you know, who can really portray that villainous role. A really calculative, cold, metallic manner that he exhumes.
Or you could just go completely off the board and just do somebody totally different.
As long as they don't like recast a former actor to come back as Doctor Doom, that would be great, right? Like,
yeah,
I think that would be really good. If we just need somebody really new and cool. Why? What do you got over there? You seem like you got some news for me.
Yep, your boy Robert Downey Jr. is coming back.
What?
Yep, he's coming back
As Iron Man?
RDJ? Nope. He's got iron, but he's just not. It's not a man.
I mean, who's he coming back as?
As Doctor Doom.
What?
Yeah.
Doctor Doom?
Yeah.
That seems kind of lazy.
Yeah, I mean, look. I know. We're all somewhat joking about this, but okay. So let me go and step all the way back. We saw Deadpool Saturday night, Comic-Con convention. It was very flat. It was about as flat as soda. It was the flattest thing in the world. Yeah, it wasn't anything that anyone saw that it felt different from anything. It was like, okay, Thunderbolts.
Yeah, there wasn't too many news about the Thunderbolts or anything. But I mean, the biggest news was RDJ, Doctor Doom, and the Russo brothers are coming back,
which we already knew that anyway. It was small rumors about it that they had already happened. Like I said, Variety, they talked about it too. So when I came out the movie theater and saw Deadpool, I was already on a high because I was like, okay, this movie was amazing, which we'll get to review a little bit later.
You liked it?
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Oh, James.
And you know, I really enjoyed that movie. So when I got the news about RDJ, I'm like, RDJ's coming back. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, that's random. But I did not know who he was playing. Then they said Doctor Doom. I'm not gonna lie, I did get somewhat excited because I thought that originally he was gonna play, and we still don't know. We don't have any details on anything. Right. This is just all speculation and conspiracy theories. And
I mean, most people are pretty sure it's like a variant of Doom.
Yeah,
it seems like they're gonna do. A lot of people are thinking they're doing the infamous Iron Man.
Yeah,
where it's Iron Man, but Doctor Doom's body, or Doctor Doom and Iron Man's body, or something. There's like a whole backstory where like they were in college and they switched brains or something. It's a total like superior Spider-Man situation.
Yeah, would you be totally going out of left field because you don't have a Doctor Doom? So it's like you can't pull that off if you don't have a Doctor Doom. You know, and that's a lot to do in 2 movies.
Right? Because you got to set them up. And I assume vaguely they might set him up in Fantastic Four.
Yeah, that's what's coming.
Yeah,
that's definitely
coming.
But
that's also up for debate. But we'll get into that a little bit later.
We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's partly lazy because it's just like, okay, you're going back to your cash cow at this point, and I don't know. Like, yeah, Robert Downey Jr. pulled off being freaking Iron Man perfectly. That doesn't mean he can pull off Doctor Doom. That doesn't mean he can't pull off Doctor Doom either. We haven't really seen him as like a villainous character. Also, we don't have like other references to look back in his acting career.
Yeah, that's true.
I suppose in Oppenheimer he kind of played like a
he was
like
a douche.
Somewhat
He was a douchebag for real.
Yeah, so maybe that's like the closest we can get. And I know some people are like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. is like getting in his villain era and stuff like that because again his performance in Oppenheimer being an example.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to tell because like I said, there's no reference we can't look back at another movie and go, I can see Doctor Doom in there. The last however many movies he's done are mostly the Avengers and Marvel films where he's been playing Tony Stark.
Yeah.
So for a decade, that's been his personality. Off screen, on screen, that's who he's been. You know what I mean? It's very clear like those two, Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. are almost the same person at this point.
Well,
with the way they've written the character and how he's acted.
Well, the thing about it is, you've seen this person play, like you said, you've seen this person play this one person. That's all you know him as. And I, for one, was very happy to see him step out of the Iron Man deal because I was like, good with seeing him do something else because I know that he's more talented than just doing Iron Man.
Right.
But for a lot of majority of people that our age and a little bit younger, all they know is Iron Man. They don't know all the other movies that he's did.
Right.
All the other movies that he's ever did. So I was very, very happy to see him do that. He got the Oscar for Oppenheimer, Best Supporting Actor. Boom. Good to go. As far as him playing Dr. Doom, like I said, I was very, very excited because I can definitely see him and Pedro Pascal mix it up together, and I would love to see that.
Right.
As far as the casting goes, would I have loved to have seen someone else play him? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Have I seen other? We only had 2 other iterations of Dr. Doom. I'm not counting that crap from 1994, whatever that is, when they did Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I don't know who that actor was. I'm not even going to try to dig that up. But yeah, Toby Keith, and you had
not Toby Keith.
That
would be some random
Toby Kebbell, I think his name is. Toby Kebbell.
I can look it up for you.
But I know the other guy you had, Julian McMahon from Nip Tuck. So we've only had like 2 iterations of Dr. Doom. Toby, while you're digging up Toby's real name, it's not Toby Keith. Toby Keith would be a cool Dr. Doom. He's big as hell anyway. Toby Keith is a big ass dude.
Well, not anymore, sir. He's kind of in the ground.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Toby Kebbell.
Yeah, Toby Kebbell. That's his name. But Julian McMahon was a good Dr. Doom. I enjoyed it. I didn't really too much care for his backstory because it just felt like mustache swirling guy. Well, he's like, oh, I'm playing Dr. Doom. I'm a guy with money. I'm in love with a girl that, Reed Richards used to like. It was just a little bit too much of that. I didn't really too much care for that.
Yeah. Which,
Toby,
if you go far enough in the comics, he's probably not too much different.
No, it's not too far
from
off
the old school Doctor Doom.
Well, that's 2 versions of Doctor Doom. Too.
Yeah,
that's 2 versions. Because that version, which was the one that played in 2005. Then you have the other version where his face is completely mauled.
Yeah, and
that's the version that I like the most.
Yeah,
because that version is a lot more sadistic and a lot more sick. Mm-hmm. Now this one here, Toby was cool, but the story was horrible. They gave no backstory to it. How he got his powers were absolutely horrible. Hated that.
The thing is, they shouldn't have used him for that first movie.
Well, yeah,
and I mean, granted, there wasn't another one, but that Fantastic Four movie,
it had potential.
It had potential. The thing is, it feels rushed because it's really short.
Yeah, it's very short.
It feels rushed, and then the inclusion of Doctor Doom should have been saved for the next film. They should have done another villain. The problem is Fantastic Four doesn't really
they don't really have
villains. They have the Mole Man, they have Galactus, and they have Doctor Doom. And 2 of those, yeah, right, sometimes Kang. So 3 of those are Avengers levels villains.
Exactly.
Essentially.
That's Omega level villains.
Yeah. So it's hard to do a Fantastic Four movie without Doctor Doom.
Exactly.
And I'm hoping the new one...
Well, this is going to have Galactus in it.
You're right. They're doing Galactus, but I'm hoping, Doctor Doom's not really involved.
Nah,
if
probably
any, or at all.
But
you could have done a little bit... Honestly, you could have just made the whole movie the origin. You could have just had Reed Richards on the run, and I would have preferred that movie much better.
I wouldn't have minded that. We've only had 2 iterations of Doctor Doom. Those were the only iterations. They were not great, the greatest thing in the world. And I know people saying like Marvel need to take risk, they need to do this. They took risk. Eternals was ass awful.
Yeah,
like you know what? I've been trying to be on the fence with this and say it was okay movie. That movie was horrible.
Yeah,
and they had an Oscar award winning director film that movie, and it felt nothing like a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish that movie didn't even exist.
The Marvel acts like it barely exists.
They need to, because that was absolutely trash.
Yeah.
Then you tried with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. They tried to bring in Sam Raimi after your other director quit because you rushed him to make another film, to make a film that you wanted to make, and he wanted to take his time with the movie, which as you should. So you went and got Sam Raimi because you wanted to be innovative, and go out and get someone else that was totally different than what you had before. That movie was fine. It was okay. If that was not a Marvel movie. But it was a Sam Raimi film that felt like an Evil Dead film.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, the whole gist of this thing, what I'm getting to is, they're trying to go back to the well that works. And that's the problem.
It's understandable, because that's what they should have done from the start.
They really should have.
You look at the original Marvel films before the first Avengers. The very small scale stories, and then Avengers is the big scale. right? And then same thing with Phase 2. Essentially, is like they're still smaller stories with a couple new characters to kind of expand the universe a little bit, and then you have Age of Ultron, which again it's a bigger movie. And after Endgame, it's just they kept going for bigger movies. We've had this discussion. Like after Endgame, every movie was like, all right, universal threat, world-ending threat. Everything was so huge that it kind of got old after a while. It's like, all right, well, if every adventure is just like this monumental universal threat, then what's, where's the character development? Where's the build-up? Where's any of this? They should have continued doing like smaller scale things.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And, again, they think if they go back to like having Robert Downey Jr. in it, maybe that'll get more butts and seats on his name alone. I don't know. You got to take everything down a notch. I don't think bringing in an older actor and then making him a new character entirely is just going to convince people to go watch your films. Like, yeah, people are hyped for it. Obviously, the Russo brothers are attached, and they've had a good track with the films they've produced for Marvel. But
that's about it, though.
Yeah, that's about it.
Because the movies outside of Marvel has not been doing good.
Right. And again, like I said before, it's a roller coaster. One movie, you're back. Deadpool and Wolverine, for example. Everyone loves it. Marvel's back. Marvel's so back. We're back on track. Captain America comes out. Maybe it doesn't do as good. We're going to be right back to Marvel. Marvel's losing their edge. Marvel's losing their touch. Blah, blah, blah. Or even with the Agatha show coming out like, next month or the month after that? Whenever it comes out. There's going to be a lot of hit pieces about like, oh, Marvel's losing their touch after Deadpool and Wolverine. They released this weird witch show. It's a roller coaster. It's going to be up and down until they can get like a good track record back.
It's a hell of a risk, man. It's a risky proposition to put yourself into, and I don't know how this is going to go. I know the original writer Michael Feely's coming back. I don't know if the brother's coming back, the other Feely guy.
I kind of hope, and I know they're not going to do it because Marvel has a horrible track record with this. I kind of hope they keep him in the mask the whole time.
But see, if you're going to keep him in the mask, then there's no way in hell you pay him $80 million just keep him in that mask.
More than $80 million. He's going to get more this time around.
That's no way in hell you paying him $80
million. I know. It's a delusion, and I know they're not going to do it. But it would be... Honestly, it would have been cool if they just never announced who it was. True. And then you reveal it in the movie.
True.
That would have blew everybody away.
True.
Right?
I mean, yeah.
But they couldn't wait that long.
No, they're
slipping and sliding already.
And look, I'm pretty sure they know. They've seen the backlash. They've also seen the positives.
Yeah, they're not stupid.
They're not stupid. This is not DC. Like, even though they're making DC moves, it feels right now.
Yeah.
But this is not completely DC. I'm going to trust and believe that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they have a reasoning to why there's a method to their madness, basically. Like, there has to be a reason why they did all this.
Yeah, of course. To some extent. I think for a little bit there, they were just kind of writing movie after movie, trying to...
Well, yeah.
They didn't have a real plan after Endgame, I think. They say it's a multiversal saga or whatever, but we've done very little with the multiverse.
Oh, yeah.
We've done little compared to what they could do.
Well, this is the problem that I've had with
and they're just now doing, actually. Well, they're just now getting to the interesting stuff.
Well, this has always been the problem I have with the multiverse. And I know everyone loves multiverse and everyone loves Secret Wars and all that crap. I've never liked Secret Wars. I never liked the comic because you're incorporating way too many characters to put into a movie.
Yeah.
2, there's no consequences because you can bring anybody back from the dead.
Right.
Or you can just reinvent someone like it's what you're doing with Robert Downey. So I've never really liked that. We all let him make it with Spider-Man No Way Home because there was actually some substantial... I can't get the name right, but there was actually consequences within that movie.
There's consequences. Spider-Man's got a special place in everybody's hearts.
Yeah.
So like a Spider-Man story, it works. But
so they let him make it.
Yeah.
But I was never a big fan of all this. I was like, could we introduce another Green Goblin? Could we have introduced another Dr. Ock for his universe?
Yeah.
Instead of us having to wait 10 years down the line to see who that's going to be.
That was kind of the letdown, right? It's like he didn't have his own villain in that film. It would have been nice if you would have done the Scorpion thing.
Yeah.
That would have been cool to have included. At least like give him his own villain to fight while they're facing off with this multiversal Sinister Six thing going on.
Which really wasn't even Sinister Six.
No, it was like a Ferocious Five.
Yeah, Ferocious Five. So yeah, like the multiverse, I've never been a big fan of.
Well, my thing with the multiverse is if you're smart about it, you can just make one-off movies. You can kind of play around with different concepts and whatever without having it be directly related to like whatever your mainline story is. Like,
True.
like kind of what we're getting with Fantastic Four coming up. It's very much on its own, and then later on, if you want to do Secret Wars, you do have that ability to go there. But I don't think everything needs to be twisted and intertwined. And a good example of that is Deadpool and Wolverine. But I do want to talk about Fantastic Four.
Yeah, me too.
So are you good with the RDJ news?
Yeah, like I said, I don't really have too much to really add on it. I know everyone's just like up in arms. It's 50-50. Just let it all play itself out. They already got our tickets. They already got our money.
Yeah.
We're going to watch the film.
Regardless. Even the people who don't want to watch this anymore.
Exactly.
Because they've made a career of it.
Yeah, so it is what it is.
On the go. We're getting arrested. With Jacob and James.
Hi, I'm Joel, and my partner in crime next to me is the Monkey. You might know us from the Joel and the Monkey podcast. We have lots of fun talking about all kinds of crazy and interesting things. But one thing we can't stop talking about enough is pygmy marmosets and how not enough people are Googling them. Every day, people get on Google and search all kinds of crazy things. Like, can a hippo hold its breath for more than an hour? Could the fastest Olympic runner beat a cheetah in a foot race? What kind of monkey was that on the show Friends that Ross had as a pet? Can a koala bear give me an STD? But not enough people are looking up pygmy marmosets. Every day, people look up anywhere between 1 and 100 things on Google, but very few people look up pygmy marmosets. So today, when you're on Google, take 1 minute, even if it's just 1 second out of your day, to look up a pygmy marmoset. Even just a picture could change your life. Thank you for listening to us, and stay classy.
When top scientist Reed Richards led his team of explorers into space, they were blasted by a shower of cosmic rays. Endowed with incredible powers, their lives would change forever as they became the Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four. We don't have an official trailer release.
It was test footage.
Was it test footage? It looked like a full trailer. Did you not see the same thing I saw?
I saw it. It was test footage. Everyone keeps saying it's a trailer. That wasn't a trailer. I promised my life on it. That was not a trailer.
Okay, well,
at the beginning of it, they even told us it wasn't a trailer.
Oh,
it wasn't a trailer yet.
Oh, I see. Well, the way it was constructed, it looked like a trailer, and it had like this weird Technicolor like film to it.
Loved it.
I think that's why people thought it was a trailer. But if that's test footage, it looks pretty dope.
I loved it.
Honestly, yeah, the old school like retro futuristic like 60s setting. It's like I guess it's kind of like a mini documentary of like...
That's what it was.
Yeah, them going through the characters and like, we're getting ready to do this, and we're going to do this. And then they show them blasting off into space. They show a silhouette of what the thing is going to kind of look like.
Yep.
They're on a dating show at some point, which is very old school Fantastic Four. Because the old school Fantastic Four comics were kind of just like them having little misadventures.
They're the first family.
Yeah, the first family. I don't like the subtitle. I don't like the First Steps subtitle.
Well, we got to see what that's about and why that says
right.
First Steps.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a working thing.
Could be.
Maybe they'll change it to First Family or something later on. But I would have just preferred the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I mean, another reason why I say it was test footage too as well, because John Watts, I think that's the guy who's directing it. He's already said that none of this stuff that you see at Comic-Con, that won't even be in the movie, because that's origin stuff. And I know some people are like, we're doing an origin film. What did he just say? What did he just say?
It does make more sense.
None of this stuff is going to be in the film.
That does make more sense.
This is just because remember when the Batman, when they had the DC fandom, that stuff was in the film. But he had some stuff that was filmed and some stuff that wasn't filmed.
Right.
But
it's like promotional material.
It's promotional material
that you're doing. Okay.
So that's pretty much what it was.
But
it's still cool.
If that's what the movie is going to look like,
I love it.
It looks good.
Oh, it looks great.
It looks great. Very interesting, and they've already confirmed it is going to be set in a separate universe or one of the other like multiversal things, which I think makes the most sense. If you're not going to do the Quantumania stuff, like if you weren't going to introduce them in Quantumania, then this is the next best thing.
Which is low key. That's everyone keeps using this word lazy lately. That's just as lazy doing quantum realm stuff.
Yeah,
like if you really want, it's like that's an easy out. To say they were in the quantum realm, it was like, boom, that's it.
I don't know. That was a cool idea to me. Like, oh, they got trapped in the quantum realm. That's how they got their powers, and then that they get out somehow. I don't know if you were gonna introduce them in a way where it's like, hey, why haven't you guys been around? That's a good way to do it.
I'm gonna tell you right now, like of all the things that they're gonna have complications with trying to do, and I really enjoyed this trailer. First of all, I know a lot of people are not gonna like this movie because I've already seen a couple of those idiots that don't like the film because they're like, oh, it looks too woke, and it looks too old school and stuff like that. I said, I guess whatever.
Does it look woke?
Yeah, I was like, they just throw this word around for everything.
They really do.
But it was just like, if you didn't like WandaVision, you probably won't like this film.
Yeah, it's true.
Because this
WandaVision played with like different stuff.
Yeah, it was the same director.
Yeah.
So it's like if you didn't like the WandaVision, you're not gonna like this film. Second of all, the hardest thing they're gonna have to do is X-Men. That's the hardest thing to explain.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Downey Jr., Fantastic Four, they're gonna explain. They can. I trust them to work themselves through that one.
Yeah.
But X-Men
are going to be difficult.
That's where they're gonna have a hard time.
Yeah, yes and no, and we'll get into that a little bit later. I mean, they're already starting to introduce mutants into, I guess, like the main MCU timeline. Which, by the way, I really hate how they keep calling the MCU universe 616.
Oh yeah,
because it's not 616. Like it's 19,999 something.
Mm-mm.
Feige called it 616, but 616 is the original like comics, the very first, like before they started doing these like the Secret Wars stuff, right? That was the mainline universe was 616. I don't know the complete origin. I just know that's 616, and for some reason now MCU is trying to co-opt it, and it just bothers the crap out of me. But
okay, political term, co-op. All right,
is that a political term?
Yeah, it was used a lot.
I suppose. I don't know. But what was my original point before I got on my tangent?
I don't know, but I you know what? I actually learned something. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, yeah. 616 comes from the comics. It's not. Yeah, the MCU universe is supposed to be 19,999, or like some absurd number like that. And I understand that's not really marketable.
Yeah.
But Feige, come on, you're in charge of all this.
You're right. No, you're right.
Get it right.
You're 100% right. I totally agree. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Fantastic Car.
The Fantastic Car. I also had that on the list.
Had it flying around Comic-Con.
Yeah, that was really dope.
Yeah, that was dope as well. I'm very excited to see Fantastic Four. Like I said, it's one of my favorite team ups. It's one of my favorite groups of all time. I never really cared for the Avengers.
No, I think this is going to be their next strongest movie. I don't know how Captain America 4 is going to go.
Looks good though.
It looks really great.
Captain America looks really good.
However, they spent so much money on this, James.
A lot of reshoots too.
They're going to lose money either way on it.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So money wise, it's probably going to be a bomb. But critically, it could go either way. It could either be really great. It could be the next Winter Soldier, or people might not like it so much. It's going to be hard to tell until we either get another trailer or we just go see the movie finally.
That is true,
right? And then what comes after Captain America? Is it Fantastic Four? Thunderbolts.
I think it's Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts is another one that's kind of iffy.
Now, that looks like it's going to be.
And I think they've had reshoots. So someone suggested they might be low key trying to do like a World War Hulk storyline.
Yeah.
Because Captain America 4 has a lot of Hulk characters. There's rumors or speculation that maybe Hulk himself might be involved in it to some capacity, and they're just trying to stay low on it.
I can see that.
And then someone suggested, the Thunderbolts or the World War Hulk storyline, I suppose, there's a scene where Hulk and Red Hulk, that's where Red Hulk shows up, is World War Hulk for the first time. They have a fight in front of the White House. And they're Captain America 4... they're in the White House because he's a president or whatever, and then they were like, well, with Thunderbolts, they're having Sentry involved, and part of the World War Hulk storyline is I think Sentry shows up and stops Hulk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like these small little elements that could potentially kind of be adjusted for the live action stuff.
Yeah, if you take elements, you can take elements and stuff like that.
You're right, and knowing how the MCU treats the Hulk in his storylines, like Thor Ragnarok was supposed to be low key, a little bit of a Planet Hulk thing, and then that was supposed to be a small arc started from Age of Ultron to Infinity War, which or Endgame, I should say. And you look at that story arc for Hulk. I mean, he was great in Age of Ultron. Then he kind of becomes like a goofy character in Planet Hulk, and then he gets the crap beat out of him by Thanos, and then he's Professor Hulk.
This has definitely been a struggle for Hulk.
So I mean. It kind of tracks that you would sideline the Hulk again in another 2 or 3 movie arc, right?
Well, I feel like eventually you would have to get him back on track because of Secret Wars.
You got to get him.
You got to get him back on track.
And now I think the MCU does have the Hulk stuff because I think last year or this year, Universal's rights ran out.
Finally.
So MCU should have access to them. And I believe that's also why they're doing like Red Hulk and the Leader in this one is because they actually have access to those characters now without having to go to the Universal people.
About time.
Yeah, right? So maybe we will get a decent Hulk movie at some point because we need one. We need another like a good Hulk movie.
I like the last Incredible Hulk.
Incredible Hulk was amazing.
I love that movie,
like,
man.
I know the Abomination looks weird in that film, but
He
the
does, but
story
he
in that movie is
scary as hell, though.
Great. And the Hulk looks great. He looks so ripped.
Oh, yeah, he was great, man. I love that movie. I can watch it anytime.
Yeah.
The acting was great as well.
Yeah. So we need another good Hulk movie. You do Fantastic Four, you do X-Men, and then you like get Hulk squared away, and you're really back on track.
Speaking of Hulk, that was one part of the movie that reminds me of you and Khadijah. Like when he was driving around in a taxi.
Oh, yeah.
It's like when they got out, that's like something you would tell her. Like, I know some breathing exercise that would help you. Because her anger was like going up.
Yeah.
I know some
That's
breathing
funny.
exercise that would help you. I love that scene, man. I love that movie. That's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. But yeah, Fantastic Four, I'm all for.
Yeah, I'm all
I think
for
it's going
it,
to be
man.
great. What do you think about the
Hulk thing?
the Galactus?
He
reveal?
looked awesome, man.
He did look good.
He looked really good. I know some people were saying that he doesn't look as big, but I keep in mind it's test footage and he doesn't
What do you
grow.
mean he doesn't look that big? He's looking through a whole window.
But they looking
There's
at
a
the fact
planet
that he's
behind him.
supposed to be like even bigger than that. He's supposed to be lifetime big. I get that.
I think for the movie purposes, they'll probably give him the ability to grow and shrink.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I think they'll do that, or he'll have like a projection of himself or something. Because there's gonna be him talking to the Fantastic Four. I'm
Oh
sure,
yeah,
at some
without a
point.
doubt.
I mean, if you're gonna show his face, you're gonna give him some speaking lines at some point.
Now, before we move on, I have a question for you. With Hulk, with not Hulk, but with Doom, with Doctor Doom, and also Galactus, they're coming up on these guys pretty doggone fast. They're doing both. There was no world building. Back to back. No world building at all.
No.
So you would have to think that you would see these guys again for Secret Wars. Because if they pull some crap like they did with Ultron, I don't think this time people will let them make
For
it.
Galactus?
Oh.
No, that's going to trigger a lot of people.
That's going to trigger everybody.
That'll piss a lot of people off.
Oh, that will piss everybody.
And
That'll piss
King,
me
they
off.
sideline King too. So like throw King in there.
See, the thing about Kang, I like Kang in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
I never was like that crazy big on him.
Yeah,
to be fit in the movie verse.
In the way they were setting him up for the movies.
Yeah,
they were trying to set this guy up like he was
Thanos.
He was going to be the next Thanos, and then Jonathan Majors gets canceled. And I saw somewhere that I guess like in the contract, like they had it to where Jonathan Majors has to play King for. He's like locked in for however many years, so that's why they're not doing King. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah,
I don't know where that even comes from.
I don't know where it comes from either.
But if that's the case, that was a dumb thing to do.
True.
And
I just think that we should have had Doom from the start. It really should have been Doom,
or at least you do Doom while you're setting up King.
Yeah,
because King would be the bigger threat.
Because Kang is more like the Loki of a smaller scale. On a smaller scale, he's more like the Loki type. He's someone that you periodically keep seeing.
Yeah,
because
there's so many versions of him. Right?
There's so many versions of him.
You kill him off, and he shows up again later. You're right. You could have done him kind of like that.
Yeah, it's like and Ant-Man did him no favors.
And then it leads up to King Dynasty,
exactly,
or something. Yeah, Ant-Man did
him no favors.
I mean, I love this portrayal in Ant-Man though. Like him as a villain in Ant-Man was great.
But the ending is what really messed him up.
Yeah,
and then the end credit scene.
Yeah.
Oh, forget about it. Oh, That was like
wasted.
That was wasted. That end credit scene where he had all the kings, the Council of Kings. I thought that was the most ridiculous scene I've ever seen.
Yeah,
because it looked like it played itself like a Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah,
and I was just like, you didn't have to do this.
Yeah,
like you could have got an Asian person for an Asian role. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing too. Like the MCU is treats the variants so strangely.
Yeah, they do.
Because either you can completely recast characters as variants, or you have so many variants that are just the same looking dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, settle on something.
Like you don't have to do that because in the comics he was a different person.
Yeah,
like he was literally a different person.
Yeah,
it's like you didn't have to do this. It's like having Jonathan Majors with an Asian accent, I was like, oh god, with he had the
Fu Manchu.
oh my god, I was like, this is bad. This is so tough. Then he had the Egyptian gear on.
Yeah.
It looked like Saturday Night Live, man. That looked like a Saturday Night Live skit.
Oh yeah, I suppose you're right about that. But before that point, Kang was portrayed really good.
He was portrayed pretty good.
Honestly, as He Who Remains.
Yeah.
Great portrayal.
Yep, I had no problem with that.
He was doing great. And then now you just kind of get sidelined somewhere.
He's just being written. I think
they're writing him out until they can figure out what to do with him, which I don't know why they're having so much difficulty trying to figure it out.
You would thought they could just recast the role.
You would have thought.
Like, there's plenty of young black actors. Oh, hell, you could have just, like we just said.
Made him a white guy. Made him
a white guy. Make him an Asian guy.
You could have hired 5 other people to play him in various movies.
But you screwed that up because the end credit scene, we saw nothing but Kangs that looked the same as Jonathan Majors. So I was like, all right. Look, I understand none of you guys are on board with the Robert Downey Jr. deal. I just want him to get it over with.
Yeah.
I really, really do, man. This multiverse deal, and leading into this Deadpool review, we're going to talk about that because a couple spoilers in there. Because Deadpool he did drop some truth bombs about Marvel. Man, I'm glad when this is over with. This has been the most ridiculous crap I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, it's the way they've handled it. They could have done it so much differently and in a better way, but like whatever they've been doing has not been really working out too well.
And have you heard about Secret Wars having 68 characters?
No.
There's no way possible you can pull that off.
All in one film?
There's no way possible.
No.
So Secret Wars is going to be less than what you think it's going to be.
Yeah. I don't know, because like it dealt with like I don't really know the full extent of Secret Wars. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know there's a lot of fighting.
That's a lot of depth in it. There's a lot. I know
Spider-Man gets his black suit in that film.
There's a lot of depth in there, man. And I don't know if they can pull that off.
But I don't think I've ever had anybody tell me exactly what Secret Wars is.
Because the Secret Wars...
And they did Secret Wars 2.
Exactly. And that's the thing that's another thing. So you're doing Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
That's something we already know you're making up.
Yeah.
Secret Wars, there's only going to be one of that.
Yeah.
With Infinity Saga, you had Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
Secret Wars
that was already set up.
It was already set up.
It was already set up
Secret
for like
Wars
10 years.
Should be 1 and 2.
Yeah. And you're setting these up in a year. So,
and also,
we don't have an Avengers team.
We don't have an Avengers team.
We haven't had a real Avengers team since halfway through Captain America, essentially. By the way, I wanted to bring this up about the Captain America 4 trailer. That I didn't think about it until I saw it for the Deadpool movie. So there's that scene in the trailer where Harrison Ford, President Ross, is telling Anthony Mackie, Captain America, that like, hey, I want to make Captain America an official government position.
Mm-hmm.
And then Captain America or Anthony Mackie, the Falcon, whatever you want to call him, is like, well, what happens if you tell me to do something and I want to do it? Isn't that the whole point of the Civil War movie? Wasn't that the whole thing? Was like they wanted Captain America to work for the government and Captain America didn't want to do that? Like the whole Sokovia Accord stuff, like the whole Superhero Registration Act.
Yep.
Like wasn't that the whole thing? And then here we are.
Right back at it again.
Captain America is like...
Well, man, Captain America.
I don't know if they thought about that.
True.
And it's just like kind of lost on them.
But, it's always been a push and pull with the government.
Yeah.
With this Captain America situation. It's not like Superman where, everyone loves some military people don't like him. But
I'm sure after the original Captain America's disappearance or death or whatever you want to call it, because he's still around, sort of. Steve Rogers is in this universe.
Old as crap.
Yeah. So I'm sure after that was when the government was really trying to step in and go, okay, well, Captain America's got to be somebody that we control. And we did get some of that in Falcon and Winter
Soldier, yeah.
Right. So.
And which he's coming back for Thunderbolts, too.
Yeah. U.S. Agent.
U.S. Agent, yep.
So I suppose maybe we'll get an answer to that. But it's just something I thought about in the trailer. And I just wanted to bring that up real quick.
Yeah, it's fine. Like I say, they better hit it out of the park with this.
Gotta say, it's fantastic.
Fantastic Four!
Let's get to the meat and potatoes of the show.
Yep.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Finally got to see this damn movie.
Finally got to see it. And boy, what a movie.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen so much promo made for a movie?
They have so much marketing for this film. It's
have you ever
ridiculous. ridiculous. They got pizzas, they got Jack in a Box, they got all kinds of Heineken for one. They got all kinds of product placement, not in the movie, but like just outside.
Just outside. I've never seen it like this. Have you?
So much. No.
Not for a
They had a
movie?
lot of fun making these promos too.
You can tell.
Yeah, and some of it's a little like kind of like okay, really,
Cheesy.
like we went this way. Yeah, but I thought the movie was great. I enjoyed it. It had a lot of surprises, a lot of pleasant surprises.
A lot of pleasant surprises.
Really fun, just as much as the other Deadpool movies. Very much, it felt like a Fox film
It did.
with, the MCU influence on it, which, again, I enjoyed. I enjoyed that quite a bit. But in order to appropriately talk about this movie, we got to go into some spoiler territory. So, spoiler bot.
This is an on-the-go spoiler alert. You have now been alerted.
What did you think of the movie?
I thought the same thing you thought. I must apologize because for like a good, was it a year? Yeah, it was a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about this movie we were pretty meh on this movie.
Right. Well,
You know.
skeptical, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, well, how much Disney influence is going to be in here? How much MCU influence is going to be in it? Is it, are we just going to pick on Fox? Are we going to just make a bunch of dumb Disney jokes? Like, what are we really in for? Because honestly, it could have gone that way. It could have really gone. And there was one joke against Fox at the beginning of the film where Deadpool's like, suck it, Fox, I'm going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
But in context of the movie, it made sense. It wasn't just like a jab. It was funny.
We also forget that Kevin Feige used to work for Fox.
Yeah.
And he used to work for
I was thinking about that earlier. He oversaw a bunch of these movies,
Yeah.
even before the MCU.
He oversaw a lot of that too.
He was behind a bunch of these. So for all
Yeah.
you people complaining about X-Men from back in the day, you got to shake your fist
Yeah,
at Feige.
yeah, Kevin Feige was the guy.
He was there.
So I mean, I enjoyed this film, man, so much.
So much fun.
I enjoyed the cameos.
Oh,
The cameos are really cool. They wasn't like shoot in.
Yeah, look, this is straight up a love letter to Fox.
Oh yeah, pretty much. That's what it is.
It's a love letter to Fox, and it wasn't Deadpool kills the Fox universe. It was
No.
Deadpool saves the Fox
Saves
universe.
the Fox universe.
Because
Yep.
that's what I got out of it. And there's that scene in the beginning of the movie where he's talking to like the pseudo villain of the film, the Mr. Paradox guy.
Yep.
And Mr. Paradox is like whining and complaining because he's got to watch over the Fox universe because Logan died, and Logan is an anchor being apparently, and that means when they die, the whole universe withers away in about 1,000 or so years.
That's the only part I didn't like, but okay.
Oh yeah.
I didn't care for the anchor being stuff.
No, it's a little convoluted, and people are already kind of confused about it. But I thought the joke about like all them being in love with Logan was funny.
Yeah.
Because they played the
No
footage
doubt.
and they're like saying the final lines from the Logan movie, and it was all emotional and stuff to them. But anyway, Mr. Paradox doesn't want to watch the Fox universe wither away, so he's going to destroy it. And Deadpool is very upset about it because he goes, my family's there. There's like 10 people that I love back there. I'd love to join the MCU, but they got to come with me. And Paradox is like, well, no, they're not coming with you. Like, this is going to happen. We're just recruiting you to join us on the MCU. Very much like almost a conversation with Disney, it felt like,
Oh, yeah.
Or even Deadpool jokes about it. Like, what are you, the internet? It also kind of felt like that.
Yeah.
Like,
true.
like that's the internet's representation of the Fox merger. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna get Deadpool and we're gonna get all these things, and like screw those old movies and screw those horrible representations of these characters that a whole generation of people grew up with. And
Because at the same time, as much as we talk smack at some of these movies, and the costumes and all this,
you got a soft spot for them.
You got to have somewhat of a soft spot
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah, because these are some people's like those old school movies are some people's first introduction.
Oh yeah.
My original X-Men stuff was X2.
Yep.
X2, X-Men, X-Men Evolution. That was my introduction to the X-Men, which is wildly different from anybody from like the 80s, right?
This is a kid I work with. His name is Sean, and he said he was his first introduction to X-Men was X-Men movies.
Yeah.
So he which I hate because
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, you're missing a lot. But I understand.
Yeah.
And I try not to. They were doing the best what they could with what they had. Because back then, the budgets and the parameters that you could do movies
Right.
were a whole lot different that you can do now.
Yeah.
I think people forget that as well, too.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't go over budget. They weren't going to go over budget for an X-Men film.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They weren't going to go over budget for
But
costumes.
they still did good because
They
look
still
how
did what
many
they
they
had.
made.
Yeah, they still did good with what they had.
You had the original X trilogy, and then First Class, Days of Future Past. Like they managed to get pretty far. New Mutants, they did New Mutants. Yep. I feel so bad for that franchise.
Oh yeah,
they got screwed over by the Fox merger.
The most.
Yeah, because they were going to be a whole trilogy. You had Mr. Sinister in it, and they got bought, they got chopped up, and then they got ended so quick. And it was not quick, but they got ended, and it was very
it happened
sad.
fast. It did happen kind of fast though.
It did and it didn't, because they pushed it back like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, they pushed it back. Yeah,
it got pushed back a lot.
Came out during COVID.
Yeah, towards the end, right? It's very upsetting. That movie had a lot of potential, I think, story wise, because it was darker and it was different.
Anya Taylor-Joy was in there.
Anya Taylor-Joy, she was Magique.
Yep.
Yeah. But getting back to Deadpool and Wolverine, it, like I said, love letter to Fox, very great in story, very good how they explain like the Wolverine being in it. He is a variant. What did you think of the variant stuff? Like the variants of Wolverine they did, like the comic cover versions.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I really did love that. They showed the short version with him with no hand. I was like, oh,
the future one.
Man, I love that one.
Him versus the Hulk.
Yep. That was cool
who's
too.
the only MCU character that kind of like gets put in this movie, which barely, right?
Kinda Chris
you see a
Hemsworth,
reflection of his face. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You see a reflection of his face and you see like, him from behind, but it's not a full cameo.
It was just his hand.
It's just really a CGI, character, honestly.
Yeah.
But it was a great bit because it was also like, you get to see Wolverine, like Hugh Jackman Wolverine dressed up as like some of these more iconic
him on the cross, the X-Cross.
Yeah, Wolverine.
Yep. I mean, that's the Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah.
I remember
that. That was funny. It's like, oh, it looks like you're busy. It's just going to get out of here.
I saw some people had a problem with that one.
Oh, really? The Henry Cavill Wolverine.
I thought that was cool,
kind of funny.
That was kind of funny.
It would have been nice if they would have got other actors to be the Wolverine variants. Because there were so many rumors that like they were going to get different people to play Wolverine.
Yep.
Like there's been rumors that like Taron Egerton from the Kingsman movies would take it over. Daniel Radcliffe. It would have been cool if they managed to get them. And maybe when the DVD comes out, there's probably going to be like some like not behind the scenes, but like maybe cut variants.
If we get that, I don't know how that goes now.
DVDs still come out, James. I don't.
I haven't. They do.
Yeah, they
because I haven't seen that. All I've seen is digital.
No, DVDs still happen.
Okay, we'll talk about that off air.
All right. Well, anyway, it would be nice if like maybe there is some cut footage of that, but there doesn't have to be. Whatever. Where else can we go, man? Like the cameos.
You had Blade. Yeah, Elektra.
Blade, Elektra.
Gambit. Finally, Channing Tatum.
My favorite cameo in the film. Almost my favorite character, honestly, because it's so good seeing him finally like be able to play this character, because that Gambit movie was in development hell for so long, and then it got squished with the merger.
Yep.
And to be fair, it probably wasn't going to be the best movie anyway, but just like Channing Tatum was fighting for that film and that role for so long. So it's nice to see him actually be able to be Gambit. He was dressed completely as Gambit. Comic accurate suit
ever.
The Cajun accent was hilarious. The whole like Deadpool not understanding him bit was funny. Just like, what is your dialect coach? The Minions? Like, what are you?
Yeah, he was.
What are you saying?
Only thing I wish I could have did with the headdress, I think they should have made it. If they do bring that back and bring that costume back, I know he's not going to play him again.
Mm-hmm.
But if they do bring it back, it needs to be a little bit better where he can kind of move his head around.
Yeah,
because you can kind of tell he was kind of stiff in that thing.
Yeah.
But he looked so comic book accurate, and I know.
Yeah.
Well,
even his fight scenes were great.
His fight scenes were awesome.
Yeah,
his fight scenes were amazing.
His stuff was fantastic, and it's just like, oh, I think I was born here.
Yeah.
Some of us never got to meet.
I thought Wesley Snipes was great. Seeing him back with Ryan Reynolds again.
That line where he's like, "There's only one blade."
Yep. Which he might be right, because I don't know when that Blade movie's gonna happen.
I don't know if that was like a planned jab at the Marshall Ali like development hell that Blade movie's in, or if it was just a funny line. But either way, it worked.
Oh yeah, it worked big time.
Yeah.
I love that line. It was so cool seeing him and Ryan Reynolds get back together, because for the longest we thought they had a beef.
Well, he said it in the movie. He's like, "Oh, you hated me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was so cool to see those guys get back together. And Wesley Snipes actually talked about how, Ryan Reynolds called him up after so many years, and he was just like, "Hey, would you like to be in the movie?"
Mm-hmm.
And Wesley was like, "Yeah, I would love to if they would."
Because he still wants to be Blade, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "I would love to, but I don't think this is going to let that happen."
Yeah.
So, I mean, he talked to Kevin Feige, And he called him back and said, "Hey, it's happening."
Yeah.
So Westley's like, "Whoa, hooray!
All right,
let's go,
let's do it.
So I thought that was dope.
And then the other cameos, like you got Juggernaut, who wasn't Vinnie Jones. They got somebody else to be Juggernaut.
Somebody else.
So you got Juggernaut in there. You had Lady Deathstrike. You had Callisto.
Played by all different actors.
Yeah.
All different people.
Psylocke was in there, but you didn't recognize her.
You didn't recognize
she
her.
wasn't the Psylocke from X3, and she wasn't Olivia Munn from the Apocalypse.
Yeah,
whichever one. But yeah, it wasn't her. But again, you got a bunch of variants in the Void. That's where the variants make sense, right?
Yep.
That's where you can really use them. You know, Pyro was great. Toad. I would have liked to have seen Toad a little bit more, but then again, like, what can you really have them do? You know,
yeah.
The Sabretooth fight was a little upsetting, though. I will say, I was hoping for a little bit more.
Got sliced up pretty good, didn't he?
Yeah, I was hoping for an actual fight scene there, but I mean, this movie was jam packed with like other action scenes. I don't know. It had like two climaxes. It feels like.
Yeah. Deadpool was like, "Stay with us. We're almost there.
Yeah,
stay with us. Stay with us." He knew it. He knew that was a long climaxes.
The Johnny Storm, Chris Evans.
Yep, Chris Evans.
Up.
Yep. Now this is something else. Okay, when we talk about people playing other people, now if you're someone that's born in probably 2008 or 2009, you probably don't know that Chris Evans was
Johnny Storm.
Johnny Storm. So when you saw that scene, you was probably like, "The hell is this?"
Yeah.
Yeah, why has he got this for?
Which is entirely why they wrote that scene, right?
Which is why they wrote it.
They're like, anybody who's not seen those original movies will be totally thrown off by this.
Yep, which I thought was cool.
It was.
It was a cool scene. I thought Nova was fine. I thought Nova was fine. Deadpool has always had weird villains. I never the villains have always where they fell short.
I really liked her as a villain though.
Yeah,
because she was just completely evil and she was so powerful. And they're like, they didn't really fight her at the end. Like there was no final fight with her.
It was no way you can fight her.
There's no way. She was
no
too
way.
OP. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I just found it interesting. Like, oh yeah, there really wasn't a final fight in this film. Like they kind of hijack her and then they make it back home and then they got to fight through all the Deadpools. That's the thing that didn't make sense to me was like, why is a Deadpool core like so bad?
Yeah.
Why are they just like chopping up people in the void? Because that's the Deadpool core is in this, and I thought they were going to do a thing where like they all team up, and I'm kind of glad they didn't.
Yeah, nice pool,
who was cool, handsome Ryan Reynolds.
Yep, pretty much.
Matthew McConaughey was the voice of the cowboy Deadpool. Nathan Fillion voiced the Headpool.
Yep.
Ryan Reynolds' kids were the Kidpools, and then Blake Lively was Lady Deadpool, which the obvious choice, right?
Yeah,
I don't know why this was such a mystery, and honestly, I'm pretty sure she wasn't even in the suit. I think it was all ADR'd in.
That's pretty much, yeah.
You know, like anybody could have been voicing those Deadpools.
But yeah, I did enjoy that. Like I said, I didn't care for the Anchor Core stuff. I was like, I get it. Plot device, you got to have a plot device.
It's a plot device, yeah.
I was like, oh.
And it's a funny way of explaining, like, oh yeah, after Logan, the Fox movies really went downhill.
Yeah.
Because, Logan was really great, and then the movies after that weren't so good.
Also, X-23, seeing her was pretty cool.
It was great seeing her back. And a lot of people are like, okay, is she the same X-23 from Logan? Is she this or is she that? Blah, blah, blah. Honestly, it doesn't matter. I think whatever comic book nonsense you can use to explain why she's in there.
Well, she's obviously the one from Logan's universe.
She's the actress, but you're right. She might not be the same one because Deadpool's from the Logan universe.
Yeah, I mean,
that we know of. Yeah, he is because that's why. Yeah, that's why the universe is dying. So, like, why would she? I don't know. It doesn't really make sense, but this is one of those things where it's like, don't try not to think about it too much.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Exactly. It's just like try not to think about it too much. Just enjoy the movie. Don't try to fit this in with the MCU because this very clearly isn't. Well, it's an MCU movie, but it's also not an MCU movie.
Yeah, no,
you know
no
what
doubt.
I mean?
No, I'm not going to argue that case.
And again, this is like what I was saying about Fantastic Four. This is a great example of something that can take place out of the main story timeline and still be a good, enjoyable film.
But here's the deal, though. Now that we enjoyed this, we've all waxed poetically of how beautiful the movie was and how some of us were wrong because we were very skeptical on how the film was going to be. Where does Deadpool fit in the MCU? How will this go?
I don't think they're going to use him as much as people hope they will.
I don't think they are either.
This movie very clearly ends with them still being in the Fox universe.
Mm-hmm.
They don't join the MCU. Fox Universe is still around. They might use it to introduce the X-Men.
Yep.
I think that's why they're keeping it around. I think they're still going to use the X-Men from whatever's left of the Fox Universe, which we don't know which version of the X-Men exists because the only version we got are Logan and Charles from the Logan film.
Logan.
As far as we know the continuity where Deadpool is from is Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, and Logan. Because the Colossus is very different from the Colossus in the other X-Men films.
Very different. Dumber, too.
Yeah. More noble, I suppose. More naive. I wouldn't say dumber. I would say naive.
Okay.
But either way, like, we don't know the continuity. And the continuity of the Fox X-Men films has always just kind of, like, followed the last one that came before it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like they're kind of all in the same place, but they're also kind of not really. So I think the continuity is Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, and Logan. And so I think you can use that to kind of just
thank you.
Do a new X-Men team. You can reintroduce an X-Men team.
I'm all for it, man.
Yeah.
I'm all for it because it's really pissing me off. Because somebody was really pissing me off about this. And I was like, I'm going to remove myself from this conversation because you're really pissing me off. There's no way in hell, and you would probably agree with this too, there's no way in hell they'll ever team up Deadpool with Spider-Man. There's no way in hell that would ever happen.
So, in the comics, they team up a few times.
I know.
And it's funny because they're both quippy, and Deadpool's Deadpool, and Spider-Man's Spider-Man, or whatever. But, no, I don't see them doing Ryan Reynolds with Tom Holland.
Thank you.
Ryan Reynolds and Toby? Probably. I could see that.
That can work, because you know why?
They're also closer in age.
That's closer in age, and also, too, MCU has a kid. Has a kid base.
Yeah.
That's a kid base. It's strong. And they sell merchandise.
Or better yet, Hugh Jackman and Toby. Wolverine and Spider-Man. Because
you have a better shot seeing that.
Because Spider-Man 2, I think, was supposed to have a Hugh Jackman Wolverine cameo in it. So that would be like a neat callback to that little bit of knowledge that some people have.
I'm fine with that, Jacob. But like, there's no way in hell you'll see Tom Holland and Ryan Reynolds. That's just not happening.
No, I don't see them using Deadpool or Wolverine very much in the future, except for Secret Wars, because I'm pretty sure it's all but confirmed. Like they'll probably be in Secret Wars.
Well, you know, the lady at the end, she made a little dig there. She said, "We're gonna probably need you again." So I'm just like, okay, Secret Wars.
So I'm pretty sure Secret Wars is the next time we're gonna see them. Yeah. I don't see them crossing over very much.
No, me either.
Maybe you use Logan again or Hugh Jackman again for an X-Men film, because we know Logan's like later on in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So this can still be when the X-Men are still around, because in Logan they're not around anymore, right? Similar to this Wolverine's version, they all got killed off. But we know the X-Men exist in the Deadpool continuity because there's the expansion, there's Colossus and all that stuff. So maybe, again, I think you reboot the X-Men in that universe, have them cross over at some point, Secret Wars. And that's when you also include Deadpool in there. I do think it'll be neat if they do include Deadpool and some other properties later. Have him come in as an antagonist. Not like a villain.
Yeah.
But maybe as somebody they have to fight to get through somewhere. Because he's a mercenary. There's been storylines, or there's been like times in the comics where the heroes have to fight Deadpool because Deadpool got like hired by somebody and Deadpool just gets in the way, or they get in the way of whatever Deadpool's doing. Like he's an anti-hero. You can use him in that way.
There's definitely ways you can use them, but I don't think that you can.
I don't see it happening very much.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, I believe, has stated that he's done with Deadpool. He's not going to do it. Yeah, I think he stated like he doesn't want to do another one unless he's like super broke. But, you know, Hugh Jackman said that however many times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I think Ryan Reynolds is done until a really good script comes across his table, or, you know, Secret Wars.
Yeah, Secret Wars.
I'm pretty sure they're probably locked in for Secret Wars, but I think outside of that, any other like movie that comes around, it's got to be a good script.
And I'm fine with that.
And Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds probably actually has to be involved in some of the writing process. You know what I mean? He probably has stipulations.
Yeah, of course. And I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. Like, I'm just ready to move on.
Yeah.
Can I say I'm just ready to move on from the Avengers? I've never really liked the Avengers anyway. I'm ready to move on to the X-Men and Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I really, really, really am. I just.
No, I think you're right about that, and I think MCU seems to be kind of going that way.
And if you notice, their success so far has come from X-Men property.
Yes.
2 of their properties, X-Men 97 and now Deadpool.
Yeah.
Their best success have come from X-Men properties.
Well, because to be fair, the Avengers were obviously a well-known team, but before the Avengers movie came out, the Avengers weren't that popular.
No.
Like, I mean, pop culture wise, they were, but I don't think people were like, "Oh, an Avengers film would be great." A lot of people were skeptical on the Avengers film.
Oh yeah, I was one of them too. But I think it worked because of the actors too that you had.
Yeah,
and the writing was good. The writing was really, really
writing
good.
was great. Before we end, the last thing we need to talk about with this film, what did you think of the Wolverine mask?
I thought it worked. It worked for the time that they put it in the film.
I was honestly surprised they even did it.
Yeah, me too.
I was not expecting it at all. I was like, they're not doing this mask. Like, there's no, I don't see them doing it. And then when he put it on, I was like, oh my gosh, he did it. And then I liked it for about 5 seconds. And then after that, I was over it. I was honestly, I thought it looked really goofy as hell.
Oh yeah. That's what I told Darius next to me. I was like, this costume, this headdress looks absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I was like,
starting to get ridiculous.
Yeah, you know what? I'm over the mask. Like, it's cool seeing him in it for the 5 seconds, for the first 5 seconds, and he wears it for the rest of the third act of the movie. He doesn't put it on and take it back off. But after the first 5 to 30 seconds, I was like, all right, I'm over this. You can take it off.
You can take that off now, man.
And then the next scene where they're just killing all the Deadpool variants.
I was kind of getting tired of that a little bit.
I think it was a cool scene. I just wish it was slowed down more so I can actually focus on what I'm looking at. Because there's so much stuff going on. It's hard to look at, right? A lot of CGI too, because so many different variants, and then that last bit where they jump out of the bus, completely CGI. It looked cool.
I like the guy in the that was driving. He's like,
yeah, getting stabbed.
That was funny too.
Yeah, it's funny because they just thought they were all not regenerative because the nice pool wasn't.
Yeah, nice pool wasn't. So, I like how Deadpool just held him up the entire time.
Or the line where he's like, "Oh my god, they killed!" He was killed, and Wolverine goes, "Yeah, he was killed by murder." Man. You held him up. What are you talking? Or even earlier in the film when he's talking about you got that kid Johnny killed.
Yeah, Johnny killed. I was gonna mention that one
50.
too. You got that guy killed. I like at the end credit scene they finally showed
what he
played
said.
Back what he said. Yeah,
that was really good too. I don't know. Great movie. I really pleasantly surprised. Honestly, just
me too.
Completely 100%. But like I said, I don't think they're going to use Deadpool very much. I think that was part of the reason why they left the Fox universe intact. Right. I think it was just to say Deadpool's still around, but he's over here.
Which is I'm fine with that.
Right.
I'm fine.
And they leave it open to reboot the X-Men with, because I think that would be the way to go.
Yeah, no doubt.
Instead of, they're slowly introducing mutants into the main timeline.
They're trying.
But I think for the X-Men, you got to introduce them in another universe. You can't just be and they popped up out of nowhere.
You have to. That's why I said, that's what I told you earlier.
Yeah.
Introducing the X-Men will be the hardest thing they have to do.
Yeah. But I think that's how you do it. You left the old Fox universe intact, introduce them that way, introduce the rest of the X-Men team that exists in the Deadpool continuity. Because again, we haven't seen them.
Nope.
We've only seen Colossus. And Colossus looks pretty great so far, honestly. And now you got Wolverine. Potentially. So you got 2 of them. You just got to give us the rest.
Yeah, so I definitely can't wait to see that.
Yeah. So, great movie. 10 out of 10.
Let's see, anything? Yeah, 10 out of 10 for me. Well, I say 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
But last piece of news, you see Superman is done. They finally wrapped up.
Yes.
Filming.
Yes.
So now it's time for production.
Yeah, post-production.
Post-production.
Yeah.
Which I really, really hope Fantastic Four is able to come out, because Superman is already done. And Fantastic Four is already starting. Mm-hmm. So, and I saw a little still of them building up the production because they're in London.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious on if that movie be able to still come out and meet its date, which, July is a long time from now.
That is true.
But we'll see.
I guess it just depends on how much post-production they need to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about Superman. They're good.
Oh, okay.
Well, but Fantastic Four, that comes out the same month.
Oh.
They come 2 weeks after Superman.
If that test footage is an example of anything, I think they'll be able to make it.
Yeah. I think they should, too. I think they should, too.
And those movies going head-to-head, essentially, because they both come out in July?
Yeah, they both come out in July.
Yeah. They should keep that date. because then you got a DC movie and a Marvel movie
Mm-hmm.
the same month, and then you can compare numbers.
2 important films.
2 important films in the summer.
Yep.
They should keep that just for the competition.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. But anyway, I think that's all we got so far for this day.
Yeah, that's
a lot of Comic-Con coverage, a lot of Marvel talk, really. Just a lot of superhero talk in general. If you want to let us know what you think about Deadpool and Wolverine, you can email us at onthegopod2023@gmail.com. Also, 100th episode coming up. We still don't know what we're doing, so email us ideas on that, please. Again, onthegopod2023@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at onthego with Jacob and James. It's all one word. You can find James on Instagram at
James9794.
You can find me on Instagram at jacobdantone.audio. You can also follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube, On The Go with Jacob and James. It's all one word. We got episodes coming out every Monday and Friday. We also have clips coming out every Wednesday and Sunday. And we have some new content kind of coming out, hopefully in the next couple of months. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, I'm on the go. James is on the go. We're all on the go.